Record to the. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce Monica Elliott, immediate past president of the League of Women Voters. She's here tonight to talk to us about the elections and about the charter amendments and the amendments. So Monica, I am going to change my screen to show your material.
Okay.
And you want to introduce yourself while I do that?
Okay. So as she said, I'm Monica Elliott with the League of Women Voters. I think most of you know about the League of Women Voters, but we are a nonpartisan organization, which means that we never support or oppose a political party or candidate. But we are also an advocacy group, and there's issues that we do take a position on. So sometimes people don't understand that you can be nonpartisan and advocate at the same time, but that's what we do. So the first thing we're going to talk about, and which people were just amazed still don't realize, is that there's two Broward County charter questions that are going to be on the ballot. If you do get the Sun Sentinel, they did have big ads yesterday about these, but I still don't hear a lot of information going on. So there's two charter amendments, and with charter amendments, you have to have 50% plus one in order for them to pass. So the first charter amendment is the changing of how we determine who is going to be on the Broward Housing Council, which is an advisory board, advisory group to the commission. Right now, the membership is determined in the charter, so there's no flexibility. And there are some groups, there's at least one group that doesn't exist anymore. And then there's other membership groups that it's become very difficult to get those positions filled. They can't even get a quorum. And so the idea is that they're going to take the membership out of the charter and it will become an ordinance instead. In other words, it'll be part of the laws for Broward County. So, and yes, we believe the Broward League, we did vote on it, and we think this is something that would be good for the charter government. Okay, next is the second ballot question, and this is to expand the Inspector General's authority. So right now, everybody except the school board and its employees are under the auspices of the Inspector General if there's going to be some sort of investigation, like for corruption, et cetera. At the time that this was put into the charter in 2010, the school board did not want to be part of the Inspector General or be under the office of the Inspector General. They've changed their mind. Guess why? But, and the school board is actually asking now to be put under the office of the Inspector General. So essentially, all countywide offices, appointed officials, employees will be subject to the Office of Inspector General if there's something that has to be dealt with. It won't be done by the state. Okay, and the league definitely supports this one.
That's two of them.
Yes. Yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
Okay. But for whatever reason, it's all again politics, but the school board did not want to be part under the Inspector General when this is first put in the charter in 2010.
2010, wow. That's a long time ago.
I know.
Things have changed.
Things have changed and they realize the error of the ways.
All right.
So then there are 6 amendments, and there's 6 different ways that an amendment can be made to the Florida Constitution. One of the ways is that the state legislature can do it. You have to have a 3/5 vote in both the House and the Senate, and it does not have to be approved by the Supreme Court. They just agree this is the language we want. There's still some legalese that goes into it, and then they are put onto the ballot. So amendments 1, 2, and 5 and 6 are on the ballot because the legislature decided to do so. So amendment 1 is changing school board elections from nonpartisan to partisan. Right now, and this is the way it's been since the 1990s, we elect school boards just like we do judges. They do not indicate if they have a party affiliation or not. And this is the way it's done in 40 other states. What the legislature is wanting to do is change them from nonpartisan elections to partisan elections, which means that they would have to indicate if they're Democrat, Republican, or even independent. But that would also mean, because Florida is a closed primary state, that you would have to have primaries. You would have to have a Democratic primary and a Republican primary before you would go to the November general election. One of the problems with that is it's like for Broward County, the second largest party are the no party affiliates. So essentially, it kind of leaves out the independent voters. They will eventually get a vote, like in the November election, but they would be left out in some of the initial choices. And this is one that the League of Women Voters, we do oppose because we feel that for something like the school board, you need as broad participation as possible when you're electing the school board. So they would be if you vote yes, we go to partisan elections for school board. If you vote no, we stay just like we are right now, just like what we do for judges. So they don't have Democrat, Republican, and they have to keep political parties out of it as best they can anyway.
Does anybody have any questions? I don't see any questions on the chat either. Okay,
Okay.
next one. Wait, was that a question on the chat? No,
Yeah, there's a question.
there's a question. Who's the question?
Number one here.
Number one. Who is it? Tina?
Oh,
I don't know. I'd have to look for you. Hold 1 second. I'll tell you.
There's-
Sorry, Monica.
no, it's fine.
I would like to know why you support, not just that you support Tina.
Okay, the reason that the league does not support having partisan elections is when we would like to see as many people as possible vote for school board. It's one of the fundamental aspects of democracy in America. And we would like to see as broad a possibility of voters. If we didn't have closed primaries, it might be if we had like an open primary system, it wouldn't be as, I think, as negative as it could possibly be.
Okay, Tina, does that answer your question? You're not muted, so just say yes or no.
I had a question on the first and second, not the third. You just didn't see the chat in time, apparently.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go back
That's
quickly
okay.
to the first and the third. You mean
No,
the
first and second, excuse me.
The charter, the county charter questions.
Yes.
okay. What was your question on the charter county questions?
Well, she just said we support it. I want to know why you support it.
Okay,
Oh, because we feel it's good governance, especially.
Why is it good government? I mean, let's be specific here.
Okay, well, in terms of having the Office of the Inspector General, it is to our benefit to be doing any sort of investigation at the county level rather than having to bring in the state. And this is what we currently do, county government. Appointed officials within county government, all employed. All 31 towns and cities within the county are also under the Office of the Inspector General. And so why wouldn't we have the school board? We advocated for the school board to be included in 2010, and so we're their advocacy for that.
okay.
Again, you're answering the third. I am asking about the first and second questions, not the third, please.
I'm
that
sorry,
was the second question.
Excuse me,
Second.
Tina, can you
Yeah.
explain again what are you talking about the amendments to the charter? Or are you
No,
talking?
you know what? No, she said that they support the first two amendments, and I would like to know why.
Okay,
You did explain the school
amendments?
board, and I got that the first time, and I have no questions about that.
Okay, so your question is not about the school boards or expanding the Inspector General's authority.
Right. It was about the first two that they,
Got it,
So-
got it.
I'm just trying to be short, so I'm not taking up everybody's time.
No, the questions are important. So you want to know why they're supporting amendment number 1 to not change the school board elections to be partisan. Is that correct?
No,
No, okay?
the first two amendments, it has nothing to do with the school board that she said. Now I can't even remember the questions. It's gotten so convoluted, but anyway, just move on. That's the best thing at this point.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Yes.
You're welcome.
We have a question from the audience.
Thanks, Monica, for being here. who currently, when there's ethical wrongdoing by the school board, who investigates that?
The state,
The state does. So we
That's-
could take it away from the state, put it with OIG.
right? So that's what happened when we did have the problem with the school board, is the state was able to come in and do the investigation. Whereas if we had it under the Office of Inspector General, it should stay local.
Got it, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so that was Amendment 1. We're moving on to Amendment 2,
Okay.
preserving hunting and fishing.
So this one is probably, if you're not a hunter and you're not a fishing person, you may wonder what's going on here. We already have in our laws the right to hunt and fish. What this amendment, part of what this amendment would do is it would make it a constitutional right to be able to hunt and fish. And I don't think there's anybody who is arguing that point necessarily. But the other part of this is that the preferred means of controlling fish and wildlife would be through hunting and fishing, rather than through more scientific means. And so there's kind of really two parts to this particular question, or this particular amendment. It's making it a constitutional right to hunt and fish, and 23 other states do have that in their constitution. But then there's only 11 other states that have gone so far as to say the preferred means of managing fish and wildlife would be with traditional hunting and fishing methods. And so there's really kind of that's where the argument is at, is really about how we're going to manage our fish and wildlife.
Okay, and now we're moving on to Amendment number 3.
This would legalize recreational marijuana for adults 21 years or older. Right now, there's no tolerance at all at the state level. There will still be no tolerance at the federal level. That does not change at all. This is strictly at the state level. Right now, if you have 20 grams or less, it is a misdemeanor. If you are convicted, if it's 20 grams or above, it's actually a felony, and the degree depends on how much you have. With this law, you will be able to possess essentially 3 ounces of marijuana, which is 84 grams. So you're going to be able to possess 4 times what right now would end up with a felony. And some of these, you look at it from a social justice point of view, in that what happens if you're convicted of a felony in this state?
Bad.
You lose your right to vote, okay? And so this is impacted by having marijuana being illegal. It's impacted primarily people of color. So I don't know what else to say about this. There's a lot of people for it. There's a lot of people against it. Some of the reasons that they are against it is right now we do have medical marijuana, which is legal, and they don't want to see medical marijuana mixed in recreational marijuana because it would all eventually be under one system. Is probably how they do it.
Does this have any impact retroactively?
In this state, no. No, there's no retroactive. Some states have done a retroactive immunization for those people, yeah, but that's highly unlikely here.
Just in case.
The other thing to consider is that it's still going to be illegal to drive or boat under the influence. I mean, it doesn't matter, what drug it is, it's still going to be illegal for that. There's going to be, the legislature is going to, have to develop a framework for legalizing, how they're going to deal with it. Right now, I think there's only about 12 companies that are allowed to grow, process, et cetera. That is probably still going to stay in place. We'll probably see some expansion. There is a benefit to the state in terms of there will be sales tax put on recreational marijuana. And they say, once you get the whole regulatory system in place, that's like $195 million a year in sales taxes. Now, they don't say where it's going to go, but that's what's going to happen there.
Can I interject here for a moment and say, obviously, these are very complicated things. Okay,
Yes.
and the purpose of our meeting tonight is not to, delve deep into it or convince anybody one way or the other. Simply to let you know that this is what it is. in general, and then you should go and do your own investigation. So with that, I think we're gonna try and move on.
Okay.
I just want to ask, I just want clarification. Was it legalized medical marijuana or legalized recreational marijuana?
It's,
That's all I need to know.
it's legalizing marijuana,
Period.
period.
So
Okay,
Not even medical, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
medical marijuana is already legal.
That's what I thought.
And I would, we have more details when you go to vote411.org.
okay.
So if it passes, and someone is convicted, they lose their right to vote. Did I understand that
No,
correctly?
right now,
Do I have that back?
just backwards, right now, if they are convicted
They lose.
because they possess marijuana, then they are either misdemeanor.
Yeah.
More than a
Yeah.
certain-
More than a certain amount, it's a felony.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Moving on, Amendment 4.
So Amendment 4 is abortion access. And there is a lot of misinformation. I just hate to say this, but there's just a lot of misinformation out there right now in terms of what the amendment actually says. It would give the right to a woman to access abortion care up to viability. And viability is defined in our laws. And essentially, it's up to about 24 weeks. After 24 weeks, then it would have to be done. You know, you're always going to be working with your healthcare provider, but then it goes into the health of the mother. You know, is there some sort of emergency after that 24 weeks that's going to require an abortion? As it is right now, most people just don't even realize right now that as of May 1st, you cannot get an abortion after 6 weeks unless you have been raped, are pregnant because of incest, or because of human trafficking.
Okay. Moving on to number 5.
Number 5, little complicated. If you own your own home or your condo and that's your permanent residence, you get a homestead exemption. The first exemption you get is the $25,000 and you're exempt from all your all your property taxes, including the school board taxes. There's a second exemption on the $50,000 to $75,000 value of your property. So for example, if that the current exemption is $25,000 for that particular amount. If you had a 3% inflation rate as of January 1st, instead of getting an exemption of just $25,000, you would get an exemption of $25,750. And so you will see a small decline in your property taxes. You still have to pay the school board tax, but your other taxes would go down. So the pro for that is that it helps reduce your taxes. The con for that is that it means less money at the city and the county level, because that's who uses your property taxes.
Okie dokie. And then moving on to number 6.
Number 6, right now, the governor, the CFO, the attorney general, and the commissioner of agriculture have access to public funds for financing their campaigns. And they've all done it the last couple elections, cycles for the governor, et cetera. And we put this into the Constitution, I forget now when, it was either late 1990s, 2000, but it's been in the Constitution for Florida for quite a while. The legislature voted to put this on the amendment to remove that financial campaign money. And so the pro is, to vote yes, it removes it. Some people say, well, it cost us $13 million in the last election. That's $13 million that could be used elsewhere. The con is that it helps those candidates who aren't wealthy themselves or who don't have the access to big PAC funds to help them. So it helps to equalize candidacy by having this public funding. So that's kind of the pros and cons for it.
Okay. Well, that was a lot to take in, and on your webpage, it goes into it in a lot more detail.
Yes, we just, the League of Women Voters of Florida, we print a guide. And the printed guide, we also have a PDF. So if you go to our website, lwvbroward.org, you'll see access the printed guide. It's in English, Spanish, Haitian Creole. and it explains the amendments. But to get information about the county charter questions right now, it's probably best to go to Vote 411. There, you just put in your address. It's not stored. We don't keep it or anything. And essentially what will be on your ballot, the races, amendments, the charter questions, it's all there for comparison then.
Okay,
Our website is LWV Broward. So League of Women Voters, yeah, it's up in the upper right-hand corner there. Yeah.
okay. All right, Monica, I want to thank you so much. I know you've been going around the city doing these presentations, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving on. We have on our agenda tonight a very important discussion about the implementation of HB 1365. And we've asked our commissioner and his chief of staff to come here tonight and explain to us what the city's plan is, okay? And I know you have religious issues tonight, but if you would just do a brief introduction, and then Jerry, who happens to be the guru of homelessness issues, will be doing the presentation. So, Commissioner.
I'm gonna talk about a couple of very quick things. First of all, it's Rosh Hashanah tonight, Jewish New Year. I had a couple other engagements. I'm gonna have to run in a couple of minutes because sunset started already, so I apologize for the timing, but people didn't quite realize that you blink and all of a sudden things were scheduled to have to be switched around. So apologize that I can't stay very long, but I just want to give you a quick update. Before I talk about that, the olfactory senses have preempted me. If you don't know what that means, it's a medical term. That's your sense of smell. Reminds me that there's a sewer break. Have you guys all smelled that here? Let me explain what happened. We're doing some work. Some of what we do is, the bypass road. They're putting up the new hotel over there, the convention center. And part of the work is we're taking some of the effluent, some of the treated sewage that's coming out of the plant over here at Lower Meyer, and putting it a bigger line and a redundant line. It's kind of ironic that they're working on a redundant line and they don't have a redundant line for what just happened. Rickman is one of the contractors doing it. One of the subcontractors under him hit the line and broke it. And it is, it's the one line that we have that goes to the injection well. So all the sewer that's treated in the plant, it's treated, it's not toxic, but it gets injected way down into the wells and then eventually way out to sea. That line was broken. So there's two problems. Some of it is being ejected into our waterway, and some of it is on the street over there. They were trying to give us an idea that maybe hopefully within 24 hours it would be fixed. It's going to be, I just spoke to the city manager moments ago. My nose reminded me to call her, by the way. And it's going to be probably maybe another day. Eventually, we will have redundancy. So if this ever happens in the future, there are two lines. If one breaks, we can switch to the other, but it's not there right now. So they figured maybe another day or so. Let's get to why you asked me to come here. We're dealing with homelessness, and I was honored by my colleagues to be appointed as the lead commissioner working with the county with homelessness. My counterpart is Lamar Fisher, and he's working on the county level. We've been working for several months. You heard that right. The city and the county are working together. Miracle of miracles. We've had several plans that we've come down the pike. Initially, the start is that we wanted to use it's called the stockade. I don't like that term, but it's the old stockade, to repurpose that for several things. Originally, we wanted to have that as maybe not an encampment, but maybe a shelter or short-term facility. The county said no. We were going to have that as a wraparound service where they go there. About a few months ago, the city and the sheriff said, listen, let's just move our booking from the jail over to the stockade. And when they're there, if somebody's brought there from homelessness, we'll have wraparound services there. And we were working towards that. And, they had, they changed who the county mayor is, and the appetite changes. And for the moment, that's off the table for the moment, but it might come back again. In the meantime, there's two deadlines that came through with this state bill. October 1st, which was yesterday, was the day that the new bill gets implemented. It makes it illegal to do camping in public, meaning you can't camp in parks, you can't camp by playgrounds, on public streets, in front of buildings, in front of places of business, on sidewalks. Overnight camping is prohibited, and it goes through a whole litany of things that you can and cannot do if you want to make an encampment or where you're going to do it, but there's no funding, and it doesn't really tell us in detail what we're supposed to do about that. So even though the rule kicked in yesterday, enforcement kicks in January 1st. So as of January 1st, either the city or the county or an individual or even the state, I believe, could sue the city if people are camping in public and we're complained about it, we don't do anything about it, the city actually could get sued. One of the problems is we don't want to make being homeless a crime, and this is sort of it's on the edge there. One of the things we had to do by law was to come up with an ordinance to deal with this, and we did. We did make it illegal to camp in public. A whole series of things that we do, how to handle it if there's a complaint, where it goes through, they get plugged in, how to track that. Last case scenario, one of the things is the mayor and some are saying, listen, if it's illegal, then they get arrested and they get brought to jail, which is, I mean, that's kind of a tough stance. The sheriff says, no, he is not going to put these people in jail. And it's a bit of a I guess of a stalemate at that particular point. In the meantime, we've had several things that we have coming down the pipe. Jerry, who's my chief of staff, will go over a lot of the details of some of the things that we're talking about, but some of them are very exciting, some are very bold. I'm going to divide it up into three categories: long-term, medium-term, and short-term. Long-term is we need more shelter beds. And I've spoken to the Salvation Army several times. They're increasing bed capacity. They have several facilities. They're looking for in the next year or so, add another facility for maybe another 100, 120 beds. We have about a 500 to 700 bed deficit. If you look at the numbers are somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,700, 2,500. Numbers bounce all around depending on a point of time, how you measure them. About 40% are in the city of Fort Lauderdale. So, and I've heard the number 780, somewhere in that range. The problem we have is, number one, we have the jail. So everybody that's arrested, that's homeless, comes here. When they get out of jail, they get dumped on our street. And number two is Broward General, where I work. And they come with that medical problems. They get hit by a car trauma, a drug overdose. They get discharged right onto our street, not only in Fort Lauderdale, but they're both in our district, District 4. I do see a lot of homeless people because when I take ER calls, so I have a lot of interaction, mental illness, drug addicts, people that are homeless because circumstances, and you can put them into several categories. The most heartbreaking are the ones that don't something happened. They went through a divorce, they lost their job, they had one catastrophic illness. I mean, everybody's one illness away from being homeless here. Illness is a triple whammy. Number one, the medical expense per se. Number two, you're not working because you're ill. And number three, you lose your health insurance. Now, one of the problems you have is that a lot of the homeless are not what you think. They are working people. There are people that service you, people that work in the travel industry, people who work in the service industry. Some of them are homeless. There are families, and yes, there are children that are homeless. Some of the plans that we're going to have is long-term. I mentioned shelter beds. I'll come back to intermediate in a minute, but let's talk about the emergent things. One of the things, a plan that's very bold, and the county likes this, it's low-hanging fruit. It's not going to solve every problem, not a lot of, but it's going to be something easy to implement. We'll have proof of concept, and we could roll it out to other cities, is safe parking. And we're looking at opening up several parking lots, or one parking lot, or teaming up with a faith-based church. We already have at least 2 churches that have shown interest in doing this. And there are homeless that are living in their cars, family living in their cars, and school children that are living in their cars. Imagine being a school child and you're there, and every so often, 1 day, 2 days, by day 3, the police come. You have to move along. We're going to tow you, or there might be danger. It's not safe. You're in Target, and on day 3 they said you got to move along, and you keep moving and moving and moving. We want to have something that was set up in several cities. And Palm Beach found out about what we're doing, and they want to emulate it there too. Did you hear about that? That's very exciting. It's safe parking where overnight. I guess you call them client. We call them patients. You call them clients. As a attorney, I don't know, you might call them a different term. And they come in. They have a food or box lunch, what have you. The biggest cost is security. There's fencing and security. We're thinking of maybe outsourcing it as opposed to having officers. They have toilet facilities, bathrooms, a shower, maybe, and then they leave the next day. But at least every night they know that they're going to put their head in a rest in a car, that they're gonna be safe and they get a good night's sleep. The school board is looking to help out with maybe tutoring or what needs to happen to help with the school children. Number two is safe storage. Like I mentioned, if you're working and you have a change of clothes, you have business clothes, you have documents, you have passports, you need to store them somewhere. Some of the other cities we've seen have that. We've had a program here that we're thinking of, expanding and working with the county so that we could have safe storage for some of the people that are homeless. And now let's talk about immediate. What are we going to do? We have to take them off the street by law, or we're going to be sued. The thought was over and over again, we arrest them, we bring them to jail. Jail says yes, jail says no. We appointed, and I'm thrilled that we appointed a assistant city manager just for homelessness, somebody that we promoted, and that's all he's doing right now, coordinating this effort. Chris Cooper doing a fantastic job. And with the city manager and Chris, we brainstormed, and we're proposing using Ashford. They're our disaster management team. They popped up those comfort zones after the floods in Edgewood, and they could pop that up within a couple of weeks. A tent, it's not a permanent structure, but it's a tent. It could have cots in there, air conditioning. You could do charging of your electronics, bathrooms and showers, and people could be fed. And that's just for people who are taken off the street. So they said they would have a couple days they could be there until they could go to community court and get more services from community court, get plugged in and get maybe housing or any of the services that they need. So this is not a shelter thing. This is the emergent piece of it. We're talking maybe 20 beds, maybe 30 beds, somewhere in that range. Salvation Army has another plan. I'm not going to go into detail. I promised about that, but there's another plan on the immediate side for very short term, what we're going to do, teaming up with the Salvation Army. And in the midterm, we're looking at, in between that gap, pallet homes, container homes. We've had a couple of people that we've talked to. Some of the other Dayton and Palm Beach have heard what our rumblings and say, hey, that's not a bad idea. They're looking at what we're doing. One of the keys that I want to hammer in is whatever we do, we're one city working with the county, and we've made it clear that these are pilot programs. We're not going to shelter the burden of the whole county, and the county agrees. So some of these pilot programs are being implemented, knowing full well that we're planning on having this countywide. All 31 cities have to step up. They think it's a Fort Lauderdale problem, but it's not. When people are arrested, they're arrested in Coconut Creek, in Tamarack, in Miramar. They come here and they think it's our problem now, but this has got to be a countywide solution. The land is a big problem. We're looking where we could get real estate for them, and it's not just going to be Fort Lauderdale. Countywide, people are going to have to pitch in. I gave you a very, very brief update.
That wasn't very, very brief. That was very comprehensive. And I know you have to go.
Yeah.
And then Jerry is going to go through the entire presentation with the details. So
I
thank you.
want to thank everybody. I do have to run. I'm
I
sorry.
know.
I will say Happy New Year. I think Steve said it was 5785 is the Jewish New Year. And the problem is I keep writing 5784 on all my checks.
No good. Thank you.
That
very much,
joke went
Commissioner.
over yesterday. Today
Yeah.
wasn't that good.
Okay.
Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you so much. And have a happy and healthy day. Can I go?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Listen, bye, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Jerry Pryor, I give you. Jerry Pryor, Chief of Staff to Commissioner Warren Sturman. Jerry, pull up a chair.
I will, real quick. So first off, I want to thank you all for coming, and I know sometimes it's difficult to come on a Wednesday night after a long day of work, and so we appreciate you coming. And Marilyn, thank you for hosting. Real quick, I brought gifts. So if y'all, they're on the table over there, little handouts, service guide, phone numbers, and then also magnets for your refrigerator for city services. So if you wanted to pick those up on the way out, because when you pick them up, I don't have to take them back. So, and I'll leave extra for you.
Thank you.
To give out to the neighbors. So I'm Jerry Pryor. I'm City of Fort Lauderdale. I'm Commissioner Sturman's Chief of Staff. I've been with the city 26 years. A big part of my journey in the city was at one point in time, I was the liaison for all homeless programming under Mayor Jack Seiler and under City Manager Lee Feldman. And Ben, you were a commission at the time. So that was my role. And so my role was to bridge the gap between the city and the county on what we can do for homeless services. So that's when Marilyn said I'm a guru. I'm pretty much the resident expert right now. And now Chris Cooper is coming online, so he's doing really well. So thank you for allowing me to speak about homeless. If there's any one thing that there's people passionate about, and it's homelessness. You're either for it or you're against it. They're very strong opinions, but just understand that when we talk about homelessness, it's human beings that we're talking about, and they're not objects, and they're not just people out there that you can ignore. It's a real thing, and we all know that because we see it here in Harbordale, and especially on 17th Street and some of the issues. So what Maryland has put up on here is a homeless update that homeless initiative update that the city put together and presented to the city commission. What I've given you on the table is a hybrid between two presentations, and Maryland didn't know this, so surprise, you get a hybrid. And in that hybrid is this slides from here, and then also slides about what that bill 1365 really is and what it's required for us as a city that we now have to implement. Keep in mind that this bill was passed down by the state unfunded. So they said, oh, you have to do this A, B, C, and D. You can't allow camping. You can't do this. But by the way, we're not giving you any money to do it. And so that's all municipalities and all counties in the state. And so you can imagine everybody's scrambling. On the other perspective, from my perspective, and working with the homeless population for many, many years, it's about time, because now the county and the cities are now must sit at the table and talk. Before it was, oh, it's your problem. No, it's your problem. No, it's in not my backyard. It's all this stuff. This bill has forced those municipalities and the counties to talk to one another and find a solution. Homelessness is very complex, very, very complex. There's no one solid answer to solve it because there's so many issues and so many layers, if you will, for homelessness. For me, my opinion is there's no homeless if you have housing, right? Homelessness is solved if you have housing. Then there comes a complication. Where is the housing? How much is it going to cost? Who's got money? Who's going to pay for it? What about the dual diagnosis? You know, the mental health and all these other complex issues. But simply put, homelessness can be solved with housing. So that's my pitch on that. So let's talk about the program highlights. So go ahead, next slide.
Okay.
So what the city had prepared, every year, HUD, Housing, Urban and Development, which is a federal level, agency, they give municipalities and primarily the counties dollars to help with homeless initiatives and homeless programming. So they're required, the county, the cities are required to do a point in time count, to receive that funding. And that point in time count is a snapshot. It's a 1-day snapshot. And so what people do is we go out on whatever day is declared and they count the homeless. They count the homeless for that 1 day, and it's countywide. So in 2023, the count was, we call it the PIT count. So if you hear me say PIT, it's the point in time. They contacted 797 unduplicated responses. That means that I talked to Maryland and nobody else talked to Maryland, right? Because a lot of times when we work in homeless circles, I could talk to Maryland 15 times in a week, right? So they're duplicated. So that's what that means. And so there were 797 unduplicated responses to the point in time survey, point in time count. And of those, 780 were sheltered. Sorry, 780 were unsheltered, and then 2,000, I still messed it up. 780 was the city of Fort Lauderdale count. Those are the folks that were unsheltered in Fort Lauderdale. 2487 was countywide. And so we have the bulk share of the unsheltered homeless and also the shelter.
Those numbers together, or is that 2,400?
It's of that, yes. Okay. Okay, moving on. Okay, so here's by the municipalities, and you can see 780 of the unsheltered were here in Fort Lauderdale. So just as Commissioner had said that, you know, we get the lion's share because our services are here. And it's just because we're the largest city, largest municipality in Broward. And it just so happens to be the jail is here, the bus terminals are here, the hospitals are here, the services are here. So by default, we get that lucky number of being number one in the county for having the most unsheltered. So here's a breakdown, and I wish I could put in here what these abbreviations mean. So CHAC is the Central HAC. It's a Central Homeless Assistance Center. And that is right here. And if you guys know where 7-on-7 is, Sunrise and 7th Avenue, there's the homeless shelter there. And that is for those immediate shelters. So somebody can come directly off the street and go into the shelter and it's temporary. It's only supposed to be allowed for up to 60 days. So of the census in 2024, there was 113 people in the shelter. NHAC is the North Hack. That's the Homeless Assistance Center in Pompano. And then the Salvation Army is the TSA. And so when you look at Central Hack and Salvation Army, they're right here in downtown Fort Lauderdale. So the only one that is not in Fort Lauderdale for those immediate shelters is Pompano. And so as soon as somebody leaves, there's somebody else going in. So those beds are usually typically full every night. And it's very difficult to get people in because there's just not enough beds. And Commissioner Sturman talked about the Salvation Army is going to be adding some more beds. But even one more bed is helpful, right? Because it's one more person off the street technically. So they're working on expanding their facility to bring on more people. And that's what I'm talking about is facilities. Where do we put folks? You know, we're built out here in Fort Lauderdale. And so we have to be creative and think out of the box as to what are other alternate solutions. Okay, moving on. All right, so in January, the commission, every January commission does their priority setting. And so they do a workshop and then they talk amongst themselves as to what is the priorities that we want to move forward for the next fiscal year. So in January, they made homeless initiatives a #1 priority. And so this has been on their radar for commission. And I know when Ben was a commissioner, that's always been homelessness has always been one of the priorities because it is something that we as the city has to acknowledge and has to help with our homeless population and coordinate those services. Okay, so what do we currently have in place here in the city? And so we got the police here. So it's one of the hot team, I always laugh because they are pretty hot. So
They name themselves.
yes, it's the homeless outreach team. And when I was overseeing the homelessness, we only had 2 police officers that were the homeless outreach team. And now we have like 5 or 6 of them. And so they've expanded that, the homeless outreach team. And it's a unit of police officers that's strictly dedicated to helping homeless individuals get into services or to get into shelters. Or they also have a program to where it's a way home program where they can contact family members back in New York and say, hey, we'll help them get them home if you take them. And so the police are really good about helping people get back home if they want, right? Remember, you cannot force people into housing. You cannot. It is, it's like me coming to Maryland and say, you have to stay at my house tonight. And you say,
Sounds
no,
good to me.
I'm not doing it.
What are we
So
eating?
I know. Well, you'll be starving because I have no food. But you can't force people into housing. And so, you have to work with the homeless population and try to convince them. And that's what our HOT team does. The reunification program, community court, it's near and dear to my heart because I have to give myself a pat on the back. I wrote the grant and I'm the one that brought the program to Fort Lauderdale. What that is instead of the court system, people going into the courthouse to see a judge, we brought the judge to the community. And then, so for the homeless population, I don't want to say it's a deferral program because technically we're not allowed to say it's a deferral, but in all intents purposes, it's a deferral. Instead of being arrested and taken to jail because you were trespassing or you were, sleeping, now it's sleeping in public and now it's, vandalizing, things like that. You go to community court if you're homeless, right? So we can get you into community court, and in that community court, we have service providers all around. If you need housing, we'll help you try to get on the list to get into housing. If you need a shower, we've got showers. You need a haircut, we got haircuts. You need food, we got food. We got bus passes. And so they see the judge, they talk to the judge about, what it is. And Judge Flo Barner, if you ever get the chance to meet her, she is an angel on earth right now. And she will do everything she can to help folks get into services. And then instead of going to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of going to jail, can I just ask you, Did
Mhm.
the commission yesterday approve the purchase of the new building for the
They
community court?
approved to move forward with it, yes,
Excellent.
and then we're gonna talk about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And,
And can I do another
Mhm.
thing? Okay. Before we forget about it, because this is a very long presentation, we are scheduled, Harbordale Civic Association is scheduled to make lunches for community court
Mhm.
on November 20th.
Perfect.
So I'll be sending out an email to all of our
Yeah.
people to see if I can scare up some people to
Mm.
volunteer to come to my house on November 19th. And we're gonna be making sandwiches in my club room. I just
Okay.
want to let everybody know that. Okay.
And I'm gonna sidetrack a little bit,
Okay.
so, because I don't have enough to do being the chief of staff for commissioners, I have a second job. And I work as an admin assistant for Neighborhoods USA, and it's a national nonprofit, that helps neighborhoods and community members build better communities. And I'm bringing that up because the, Middle River Terrace, they were making sandwiches for the homeless court, for the community court. And they submitted for a national award and they won a national award
Ah.
for serving the homeless population as a community grassroots effort, making lunches just like you are. So-
Our sandwiches are better. We should get the reward next, we
So-
get the award next
So
time.
they won a national award. They were recognized at the national level to, for innovative, things that people can do to help their homeless community. So I digressed a little bit, but I have to
It's
give them
okay.
credit for that.
Mhm.
And that it's continuing, and that's the big thing, is if we have programs that somebody else can duplicate, then by all means, let's do it.
And now it's gonna be even more important because now we're gonna be having more people coming in.
Yes,
So,
more people coming
More
in.
lunches.
Yeah.
And it's not only the people, you know, the homeless people, they bring their children.
Mhm.
And those children enjoy those peanut butter sandwiches
Yes.
more than anything. Okay,
Yes.
so it's a good program.
And that's the whole thing is, nobody, in my opinion, if you're homeless, you're never gonna starve to death in Fort Lauderdale, because there's so many community members and churches and HOAs and civic associations that feed folks every day. So, so that's a blessing. Thank you for doing that. And make sure I put that on my calendar, so
Okay.
I'm here for that.
Okay, good.
So community courts, so now, because we're talking about expanding programs, so now City of Hollywood and City of Pompano are now duplicating community court. And in fact, the folks that I hired to work in the community court are now running those community courts, so that's a blessing. Housing navigation, that's neighbor support, and also the police department. What that is once you make a contact with somebody and you find out what their unmet needs are, you put them into the system, our homeless management system, to try to figure out what their needs are and what is the best solution for them, right? Because everybody's scenario is separate and of itself. So that navigation program, because it's so complex, they get a case manager and it helps them navigate the system to get those services. The MIH is fire and fire department. So what they've done is they've expanded for their EMS services for homelessness, because what they found is that a lot of their calls, repetitive calls, are homeless. And so they're working on a program, and they've expanded it to where they now can connect people with homeless services as well as fire as EMS. So that's a great thing. And then emergency shelter beds, police department and neighbor support. So we got an additional 20 beds just dedicated to the city of Fort Lauderdale in the South Hack, which is in Hollywood. So city actually pays for those beds. We fund those beds. And so if a police officer comes across somebody and there's a bed vacant, it's our bed. They can take them over there. Yes, ma'am.
Can I,
Mhm.
stop? This is a very long presentation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
No,
fast.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because at the end of the presentation, this is what is gonna
It's the
happen
most
now.
important.
Okay,
Yep.
so
Mhm.
you can, this will be up on our webpage
Yep.
and you can look at it at your leisure. But we really should get to the
Yep.
part about what are we gonna do?
Yep,
Okay.
so I wanted to let everybody know the city's on it and we're working on it. We've dedicated. You can skip all of this.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
It's the statistics. Okay, so here's important. So House Bill 1365, a part of the response is we need to track it. We need to track what's going on with, because of a result of this House bill. And so what the city has done is, FTL Fix It. I think it is FTL Fix It. And it's, you can go right on the website and put in your data, your complaint, if you will, and say, hey, there's this homeless person sleeping on my doorstep. This is where it is. This is what they look like. you know, and it goes into the system, and then the system, being city staff, will then dispatch out either the homeless hot team from the police department, or also the housing navigators through task force to end homelessness. So that is a very, very important piece, because then we can start tracking and seeing what the results are. Keep in mind, under House Bill 1365, one of the requirements is that no matter what we set up for a solution, if it's the safe parking, if it's the, you know, the pop-up shelter, if it's whatever, our response is it has to be approved by Department of Family and Children. So it's not just, oh, we're gonna pop up a tent, we're gonna put people there. No, it has to be inspected by the Department of DCF and everything. So it's a process to do that. And I say that because I want people to understand, when we talk about safe parking, it's safe parking and it's in a neighborhood, or it's in, you know, an industrial area. But it is approved and inspected by DCF. So it's not just City of Fort Lauderdale putting somebody into your neighborhood without the proper approvals. So go ahead.
Okay,
So these are the complaint requirements again: location, description, specify their camping occurring overnight, and describe the area. So this helps the law enforcement.
is this like
Mhm.
the code enforcement where you have to actually give your name and
Yeah,
identifying
yes.
information?
Yes, you couldn't find it. Okay, let me make a note of that, because I'll, okay, okay. All right, I'll let them know.
Clarification, is this just for city Fort Lauderdale property, or is this for private property also?
Oh, no, if it's anywhere, yeah, because it's public camping and public sleeping in the public. So if they're on your sidewalk,
No,
well, but if they're on your sidewalk, yes.
it's,
Yes.
it, remember our last meeting? It was all about trespass affidavits, and
that's
that was
fine.
on
Yeah.
your private property.
Mhm.
This law is not about private property. It's
all
about the
public.
sidewalks, it's about the parks, it's about the right alleys, it's about
Mhm.
the alleys.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. And on the slide, we have
Jeff,
the
did you
slide
get
about
that?
the
It's about the
trespass
alleys.
affidavits. So, yeah, so private property. I will make a note of that to follow up on that app, because honestly, I haven't looked at it myself, so.
I'm
okay.
sure it's not gonna work for the first month or two. You
Yeah.
can count on it.
Yeah.
There it is.
Nothing clearly.
Fix it.
Yeah, he's got it right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to be mindful of time. Let's go. Let's
Next
go.
slide.
We have a long way to go.
You're in charge.
Okay.
So this, and this is just a schedule of the police officers and code enforcement's outreach and when they're on shift, so.
Mhm.
Here's the trespass affidavit, and this is very important for private property owners and business owners. You have to get the trespass affidavit, and then the police can go and enforce it.
We did that. We
Okay,
got that
so we
covered.
don't have to cover
Moving
it.
along.
So here's what we're doing. So the city increased neighbor support by 2 positions. So they've added 2 positions, plus Commissioner spoke about Chris Cooper being the dedicated assistant city manager. We have the ordinance, and it just passed last night, and I brought copies of the ordinance if you guys wanted to see it. We've secured 20 additional shelter beds. We're reporting through Fix It FTL, and then ongoing meetings. And so that is the immediate. So between now and December, at the end of December, we are looking at purchasing community court locations. So in the building that community court is being held, if you know where the bus terminal is, there's that little grocery store in that building right there on the corner. It's that building, because community court is on the back of that. So the city, just last night, they discussed it at the commission meeting, and the city authorized the city manager to go ahead and find funding and put a bid in for that property. So then that'll be a permanent property. We can expand community court if we need, which I have a feeling we're
Sure,
gonna
we
need to.
Mhm.
And then we can also use it for other services, maybe a respite center for, you know, a couple hours, 3 hours, whatever it is. But that building, once the city purchases it, it will be the homeless one-stop shop, if you will. And we're looking at utilizing CRA funds for it, because that area is under the CRA.
That's good.
That's a good thing, because it's right now it's not being proposed to be out of general fund.
Good,
So we're securing 10 mental health and 10 substance abuse treatment beds through BARC, which is the Broward Addiction Recovery Center. So that's a good thing. We've never had that before. Because it's a fight. I'm telling you, it's a fight when we try to get people into beds and services, because they're full. And so it's like first come, first serve. Overnight respite center, we spoke about that. We're looking at Ashbridge, who is our disaster recovery team. They can pop up tents just like they did in COVID. And so it'd be just like that, and it's a temporary solution. We're gonna have town halls, the city's gonna have them, and then we're gonna have code inspectors and park rangers helping with reporting the homeless. And then in January, that's the big deal, right? Because if we haven't had things in place, and thank you for letting me know, because we gotta have our systems in place by January 1. Because that is, like Commissioner said, that is when people can, and whoever can sue the city for not dealing with, if you will, and complying with HB 1365. So for the city staff is gonna do bi-weekly reports. They're going to look at the feasibility of the safe parking, and they're in place, because remember, we talked about it being a pilot, so we're gonna see, okay, is it working, is it not working? And then continue with the neighborhood campaign, and then long-term solutions, and that's the container homes, and that's the tiny homes and things. I will tell you, we have had a discussion with the gentleman, and you know, I'm still waiting to see if he's for real, but I'm gonna believe him until I see it. But he said he'll buy property and then put container homes on it for us. And so I was like, ooh, come on, bring your checkbook, let's go. So, yeah,
Okay.
so that's it.
All right, thank you so much, Jerry, and I'm
Mhm.
sure people will have a lot of questions, and we're not gonna answer them all tonight. But what's struck me was that the city is committing to having a series of workshops
Mhm.
around the city, not just us,
Yes.
but big workshops where they'll bring in all the big guns, not that
Mhm.
you're not a big gun, but I'm the big
It's all right, I
guns, you know.
trained the big guns.
That's
so
right,
it's
the
okay.
police people and the homeless and the task force for homelessness,
Yeah.
all in one place, so we can really ask questions
Mhm.
and push them and see how this is gonna work.
And then
But-
this handout here is a combination of the presentation that Marilyn just showed, but what I did is I cut and paste some of the important stuff out of here. But this presentation gives you more detail about what HBC 1365 is. It's more detail on the bill itself. So if you wanted to grab that.
Okay, thank you so
Okay.
much, Jer.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
everybody.
All right. Okay, now we have one more presentation, and that is Troy.
Yep.
Troy is here to show us what he is proposing for a property at 1545 Southeast 15th Street. This is oh, do you have to leave? Okay, well, wait a minute, maybe Diana can take it over. Okay, if you have to go. Right. No, the reason I'm asking is because I'm a member of planning and zoning and I cannot participate. So I'm gonna ask Diana I'm passing the gavel over to Diana, and I'm
Okay.
going to take my water and go outside.
Okay.
Okay? Let me
Mhm.
just show
Just
you.
don't trip here.
No, just let me show you.
Right here. Oh, over there. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. You got.
There
that.
are two drawings here that you can show
Okay.
up here
And you
for
wanna
people who are
put
not in
that
the
here,
audience.
Troy, so
Yeah,
they
we'll
can
come do
see
that.
it. Yeah. 'Cause
Okay?
this is- You're in the hot
No
seat.
All right, that's the
Okay.
site where it is, and this is a exhibit. Because the people at home will not be able to see these drawings,
And then
Yeah.
No.
while you're setting up, I
okay?
brought,
So when do you want me
one
to
of
show
these
them?
rain-
I'm just gonna leave them up on the screen,
Okay,
okay?
okay, perfect.
They're all here for you guys.
Bulkhead.
And then
And I'll
Troy,
take my
they'll be
business
able to see you here.
No, it's not bulkhead.
They'll be able to see you here, so you wanna,
Okay.
yeah, just making sure they can see you.
Yeah, but
And then talk loud so they can hear you.
no.
Thanks.
Wait a minute. Okay, this is the site. Okay, I gotta go.
So I don't need to put anything up, right?
Nope,
I'm good?
That's it.
Okay, we're good. Okay,
All
just
right.
don't trip.
No trip.
Okay.
Oh, look at my glasses.
Can you just pass my water? Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Wait,
Tell me when.
you
Good
can
to go?
start. You're good to go.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Tori Watson. Been a friend of a lot of people in this room. And I see a friend I haven't seen in many years, but 25 years plus friend, and other people in the room. I'm a local developer. Been in this community since 1996 from Wisconsin, and I consistently do smaller developments. I hear what's going on, from the affordable housing, talking about what's happening with the homeless. I look at the kind of more of a holistic thing, trying to fit very small little packages of what I get involved with. And I'd love to get more involved. I'm going to talk to, after the meeting here, how we get more involved in more of the affordable housing. What do we do differently? Because it's really, it's back to, we need more homes, and it's doing it smartly. And it's recognizing we need to have homes that are built for people that can live in literally in micro units, and back to things that are 400 square feet, because I own properties like that in other places, and they're phenomenal. And there's also places, which I'm going to show you today, which need to be on the water, which helps support those services. We're going to take a property with, again, trying to show the community. This is on 15th Street. Everyone knows what 15th Street Fisheries is. If you're familiar with 15th Street, about 4 or 5 years ago, I developed a 5-story building north side of the road, 1507. And I was told when I built that I was crazy. Who was going to move into the neighborhood and spend $3 million plus on the street? Well, we sold out immediately, and the customers that have been there have been ecstatic about living on 15th Street in this neighborhood. It took us a long time. We would like to have done more, but it takes the right property, the right timing, and we found one. And this was owned by a guy named John Berman. He had lived in the neighborhood for very many years. He was about 90 years old. And the only reason he sold it is his wife got cancer. So anyway, we've been friends for a long time, brought me the property, we made a deal work, and I immediately started doing an outreach to the neighbors. And not just on the street, but to the north, across the canal to the north, because it looks in the single family homes. And I want to hear what people had to say about my last project. And we heard pretty, I think, unanimously. And the last time we presented, we had literally no dissension, people saying we want new product that's not overwhelming. So what we did is we're taking 3 units, which is what's here now, and we're putting 5. We're going to do a 5-story building. It's going to be 5 residential units, 1 per floor, and give people a very nice looking product, which I'm going to show you right now.
Can I just ask when you did these presentations? Because I live on Southeast 15th Street and I was completely unaware of it.
Well, I'm going to be
It was a
doing
while ago.
Okay, so what's that?
She's asking before, the one that you did, the one that's
Can you
built.
pull up like a Google Earth and show the street where it is from this?
I don't know Mac. I don't speak Mac.
Let's just do
Only
this.
Microsoft.
Let's go to Safari.
By you, it says,
I know.
uh-huh.
Said he's been reaching out to people on the street. I live on the street and
No, I said as I've reached up this, again, I look, first of all, on this, you see the building right here in front of
It's
you?
this
On
one.
both sides of that property, I went out to. I went to the south side of the street. I went to the immediate adjacent properties within about 500 feet and knocked on the doors and talked to the people. And by the way, there was a sign going up this week that's going to talk about another outreach, which is just specific to the people coming beyond this. This is me coming into the Civic Association. One of the things I think our city, and Ben's been part of for many, many years, is to make sure we reach out to the neighborhood to know what's going on in their neighborhood. And that's what I'm trying to do. I don't hide in the shadows. I'm very much in the community, and I want to make sure people knew what was going on. So what we did is we're going to compliment, we would like to compliment. And again, the reason we don't see trees and different things like that, so go to my last project, is go right on the street. We're going to do a very similar building, keeping it clean, a lot of balcony engagement. We're working with the city right now. This is just, again, it is barren because they want to see the building. When you put landscaping on, it becomes very amazing. But these are literally 1 unit per floor, parking in the building. Nothing is seen from the street. It's just landscaping like we did in the last project. I'm gonna bring it back.
Yeah, I want you to
this way,
show them now.
but I
Yeah.
want to make sure they could see it behind the
Right.
computer screen, so I'll do it
Yeah.
for the,
Thank you.
it blurs out on the
Okay, we're gonna take out the
blur.
blur for you.
Okay, let's do that.
Get that.
That I don't
changed.
know, yes, I do.
It's okay. I know Microsoft,
Okay,
not Mac.
blur my black shoes. Okay, everybody, so what we're doing is we're proposing, let's stand up so you can see it. It's still all blurred.
It shouldn't be. Let's go back.
Okay,
Maybe
well,
it
as you're
should
doing
go.
that, I'm gonna talk, is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yep.
So in its respective time. So what we want to do is basically take a building that was a single story, built in the 1950s, take it down and do a very low impact to the street. Putting sidewalks in, which has been a major concern for a lot of people walking down that street. We heard today. Oh, there you go. So you can see it's a very simple thought for the people on the screen. 4 units to the front, parking coming in. Again, landscaping is not shown because of working with the city, but it'll be a very lush, like we did the project down the street, but it's 3 or 4 doors down. So again, attractive building. We already have the buyers for the units. We've actually have people coming from our last building. We have a tradition with our buyers. It's usually people we've worked with in the past coming in and living in it. And these are end users. This is not a rental community. This is anything else. These are people living in the neighborhood who want to be on 15th Street and engage in the neighbors. So that is the location. I don't have a lot to tell you, except it's just back to a very small project. And from the people we've spoken to, literally immediately adjacent and across the street, they've been very, very thrilled with us. And we're going to post, I said this week, a sign saying when we have a proper outreach so everybody can go into it. The architect will be there. Whoever whoever we can possibly bring to help show and highlight this project, we will do so. And we'll have that meeting I guess, in the next 30 days, that'll be happening again. Because I think we do, once we post, we have to, I think it's, I don't remember what it is. Ben, you might remember being on the commission. So I think it's 30 days after we post, we have to have that presentation within a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
45.
15.
And the last one we're doing was
It's on the
1507.
agenda if you want to grab it there.
The last one was 1507. You'll see it on the north side of the street. Oh, by the way, new boat docks, new seawall, all the new height. It's back to bringing, we got to build new stock. This home is actually has termites. It has other things. It's just, again, it's reached its age of time for demolition. And again, I'm trying to make sure I bring things to the neighborhood and not put too much, again, into the neighborhood, more impact on the street and go forward.
Just to clarify again, the existing property has pull-in parking, they double park, they're blocking, quote, the sidewalk, which there is no sidewalk.
Yep.
there. It'll all change, there'll be a sidewalk.
100%.
won't be Parking.
Right.
Like we're having from.
One driveway cut inside the building, no sea of cars, completely behind the wall, completely in, everything is within the building. I do also want to point out, so you may hear this, and back to people who've been watching the city, we have to get a quote, I'll say 95, 99% of the projects in Fort Lauderdale have to get a height or side yard modification. It's not a variance. It's nothing like that. I'm not asking for anything. It's just the city says, hey, if you're going to come in, I have the proper setbacks, but it would only allow me to build a 20-foot high building. It's less higher than the buildings next door. So the city makes you go to a side yard modification. So you'll see that in the presentation properly, which is literally going to be matching the buildings next door.
So you're saying you're changing the height requirement?
No, I'm going exactly by code. I'm just letting people know, if you hear, hey, guess what? He has going for a side yard modification. It is nothing fancy. It is just, I'm going in by what the city has designed. What's that?
How's it gonna help to the affordable housing prices on our?
It helps every day because we're taking up property right now that's paying less than $6,000 a year in taxes. And at the
putting-
time we're done, you will have an income of close to $500,000 off the property going into the tax assessment roll. So right now we're adding to the, because Broward County pays, when you pay for your property taxes, it covers all these things we're going for. I mean, when you take a property right now that's producing no income to the city, you take a property that has very low income taxes, or not income, but property taxes, it does help. And the second thing is back to, I do get involved with, we talked about on the street, the last time we worked on the infrastructure of the road, we worked on speed humps. We worked on a lot of things the last time in terms of what the city asked for, and we gave monies for them to the city. I did actually give monies to the property to the city. And we actually, if you look at the property, okay, I'm like, this is 4 years ago, we can go into it. And we're more than happy to be working with the city again, because we've been in this town for a very long time, and we like living and working on these type of projects. Any questions? I want to make sure I'd be glad to give it.
How tall are the buildings on either side?
Exactly the same height as the one we built on the street for 55 feet. Exactly the same height. It's 5 stories.
Yours, it's the ones on either side.
The other side.
Either side.
The-
3 stories, 3 stories. It's a 3-story building. And by the one we did down the street had a single family home to the east of us, which was a single family home. The gentleman who owns the marina, that's where Bob lives with his wife. And then to the west of us is a 2-story townhouse or condo building right next to us. This is actually a 3-story, and you'll see the proportion. It looks very nice in the street. We've actually gotten an award, very nice compliments on the project from the city and others. Thank you. Any questions? Make sure. you-
No, there was no oh, wait, there is one. I'm sorry.
The surrounding properties are what elevation?
The building to the west of which you can see is a 3-story building. And the building to the east of us is a 2-story building.
Okay, and how many feet off of the ground floor?
Repeat the question.
Approximately. How many feet off the ground floor or off the ground?
It's a 3-story building. I'm a basically, I always assume it roughly each building is about 9 foot,
30 feet?
about 30 feet tall. I'm gonna be 25 feet taller.
Okay, so you're gonna be about 20, 25 feet taller than the surroundings
Right.
or 30 feet tall.
Yep. And again, I use the example because we completed one about, it started about 4 years ago. It's completed for over 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. On the street just to the west of this location, you'll see a similar building to it. And that's next to a 2-story building. You'll see the proportion.
All right, and there is one question. Tina wants to know, is he stating not rental, then stated all sold, then said people from first building want to move into new
They're buying the
building?
units.
So the first
It's-
building is buying the units, the ones?
No, we have 2 buyers from the first building. We'll put their units up for sale. And then they want to purchase in this building if it's approved, so they can move into this one, because the units are bigger. They're
Oh,
getting the
okay.
whole floor. The other building had 2.5 units per floor. This building has the entire floor. They're getting a much bigger unit. And that was one of the requests we had from our buyers. If you could make if you do another building, could you make the units bigger? And that's what we did.
Tina, was your question answered? I'm asking, you can unmute.
But this is not a rental. This is a for sale product. Roughly 4,000 square. feet.
Sorry, I actually am on my way to another meeting, so I'm driving, so that's why I
Okay.
was muted. I'm
That-
trying to be careful. Yeah, I just wanted to be clear because he was talking about both buildings and it wasn't quite making sense to me. 5 stories, 3 stories, they're all sold. People from first building are going to the second building. You know, I just wanted to make sure we were clear, and neither building is a rental building.
No, they
Correct.
are.
They're all owner.
They-
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tina. Is that it for questions for Tori, right?
Yep.
I'm sorry I called you.
I saw the paperwork go in this a couple months ago, and I just got a glimpse of some of it. Who was the realtor, lawyer, developer? Is it
I'm the developer owner. We have no realtors.
no law firm realtor or anything with it?
We have no law firm involved in this project. We are not doing it we submitted with the architect. His name is Ricardo, and that is his partner. They are the architects, and I have been person on this, because it's only 5 units. We have been in the unit right now. We have been fully self-developing this ourselves. We do not have like a land use attorney.
All right. Is any other questions so that he can get out of here?
I actually have one more.
Okay.
I'm sorry. How many parking spaces will be? I believe you
Every
said
unit-
they were covered, or?
Every unit will have 2 dedicated parking spaces to themselves, plus guest parking, which is 2 more. And this, yes,
So 2 guest spots for the entire building.
we actually have more, because some of the units they have 2 on the ground parking spots plus a third. So it's actually more than that, but there's 2 dedicated for guests. Yes. And it's only 5 units.
So there's only 2 guest spots, and then each unit itself has 2 parking spots. So you have 12 total parking spots.
There's actually going to be more than 14, because within the building, there's some lifts, which I'm not even going to get into, but we have more parking ratio than the last building. And, but we have.
I'm asking exactly how many parking spots there are. That's
there's a
all I
minimum
want to know.
of 12.
How many are guests? You've already answered how many are per unit, but my concern are the guest spots.
We have 2.
Because 2 spots are not enough for 5 units.
Okay, we had the last building, which was 10 units, had 2 guest spots by code. We actually kept it exactly the same for 5 units. And we haven't had 0.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't know. Then people are parking on the street because there's not enough guest parking.
Okay.
I put my 2 cents in. Thank you.
We have the history of it. It's not happening.
Thank you, guys. If there's no more questions, we want to just bring the chair of this meeting, Marilyn, back in.
Yeah.
If there's no more for Tori, they want your phone number. You want to put your phone number in? here?
Huh? Where are we gonna start building them?
No, 20.
We haven't marketed them, but they're gonna be north of 3 million.
Do you want to put your phone number in here or
Sure.
they want to know your phone number? Yeah,
Yeah, we're going,
we just did it. Come
Yeah.
on in, Marilyn.
What-
He's done.
you have my telephone number. You can post it. I give you my
Okay,
card.
yep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
everybody.
he's done. It was
Yeah,
just,
It
thank
was the
you.
questions.
You're
Yep.
fine. You were fine.
Thank you.
I gotta give him, some people want a phone number, so I'm gonna give him a phone number. I always need the cards for, in
Alright.
case I need them.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So let's get back to our agenda. Let's make sure we got everything on it. No, that wasn't the agenda, Marilyn. State of the city. State of the city presentation is on October 9 at the newly renovated Memorial Theater, Memorial State War Memorial. And the food is always good, and it's interesting to hear from the politicians what they think
Is
the
that
state
one?
of the city. That's October 9.
Oh, I'm not here.
Okay. And most important, there is a community forum coming up on October 23. Pipe break, agenda. Where's it? Flyer. Save the date. Okay, all of the communities in southeast of District 4, that would be Harbordale, Rio Vista, Breakwater Surf Club, Harbor Inlet, Harbor Beach, and Lauderdale Harbors. All 7 of us are doing a candidates forum on October 23. It's at St. Sebastian's Church. We did this last time. It's standing room only, good food. It's, right at that cusp of a week or 2 before the election. And we want everybody to save the date, put it down. And Monica Elliott, by the way, will be the moderator. She
Okay.
moderated last time.
Yep, she
So
did.
she's very good. So that's information that I wanted you to have. And then the rest of our agenda is, yes. We're not sponsoring one for the mayors. League of Women Voters had one Monday night. I don't know if there are any others, but I could look it up and put it up on the webpage. I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't other ones for the mayor, because it's a big race. Okay, community court, reschedule elections. We're going to have a holiday party again at Southport Raw Bar. I assume everybody would have no problem with that, but he's gonna host us again. And I have a problem in that I forgot that we have to have elections. I forgot. We're supposed to have had a nominations in October at this meeting and vote in November. I will be sending out a special blast email to everybody asking for volunteers for next year's board and offices, and we will have the election in November. We just won't have the nominations tonight because I forgot. We'll do it in November. Okay, real problem. We have no Green Your Routine money this year. Nothing, not a zippo, because we do not have a Green Your Routine coordinator. We need to find somebody in the community whose heart is in recycling and environmental issues. And we have to get back in the game on Green Your Routine. So look into your hearts, ladies and gentlemen, and see if this is something that you want to do for your community. And with that, I think we've got everything that we were supposed to cover. It's been a long night. I appreciate everybody's staying this late. Let me just check the chat in case he's standing that
So you're
rental.
not changing the November 6th meeting? You're leaving it?
No,
the same?
I would, you're right. Let me ask. I should ask. The November 6th meeting, ladies and gentlemen, that's the day after the election. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be exhausted the day after the election. So the question that we've been bouncing around is, should we make it 1 week earlier or 1 week later and not on November 6th? I think, it
Either cancel it,
either,
because November's busy with the holidays, or do it later.
huh? Yeah, we would definitely have to vote to
Yeah.
cancel.
Of course.
Yeah, well, I don't think we have a quorum left
Oh.
to vote.
We don't have a quorum.
Isn't that in November when you're?
One,
That's
two,
right.
three,
No,
four.
no, we can't cancel. We could change the date because we
Okay,
have to
let's
vote
change the
on the
date.
elections. So I propose that we
Oh,
make
that's
it the
right.
previous week. What week is that? November 6th? Let's get our calendars out.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, that's.
Oh,
what
no,
I'm
that's not
saying.
gonna work.
October's super busy. That's why I'm
How about
saying.
the week after?
That's
November?
on the sixth.
No, 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 I'm
Oh,
saying from the 6th.
28th?
Yeah,
Okay,
let's go for the 28th. Where's my calendar?
let's look.
Why didn't that
I
come
know
up?
I'm not. around.
November 28th is Thanksgiving, isn't it?
That's-
No, no, we're not gonna go all the way out to the 28th. What's after
Yeah.
the 6th?
The 8th would
November
be a
13th.
Friday. 13th.
November 13th. Anybody have any problems with November 13th?
Better for me.
Better, excellent, better.
Yes.
Okay,
So that's.
let's
good.
make a decision. Let's make an executive decision, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving the November meeting from November 6th to November 13th. And we will have our election on November 13th. Good? Ah, I love it when a plan comes together. Thank you. Thank
I
you.
vote yes. Second motion, whatever you need. It's
Okay,
Tina.
thank you, Tina. I appreciate it. No, we don't need a motion. We're just gonna do it.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
I
Good night.
appreciate everybody who joined us on Zoom. I think this is gonna work out well, and it gives everybody an opportunity to come to the meeting and, if they can't get here. So we're gonna continue with this, and maybe if we get lucky, we'll do a full-fledged Zoom. We'll get some equipment to do the cameras and the microphones, but this works for now.
This is fine.
Appreciate everybody, and the meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye.
Bye. Stop sharing. And the meeting.
Marilyn, you have a copy
got
of this, right?
Mhm.
Transcribed, okay. Our meetings at.
There's one left.